Well, good viewers and listeners I had a chance to play the Recon Wildlands beta over the weekend. The game itself is a bit of a mishmash of Grand Theft Auto, The Division, and a little bit of Metal Gear Solid thrown in. It's set in Bolivia.
Where do you go from here, Mike?
I don't know, man. I might get fade into Bolivian.
Seems like a nice place to fade into. Half the time I spent playing solo with the AI so I could really get a feel for the world. The other half I spent clowning around with Policeman Dan. So how was it? Well, let's dive in and find out. Post-haste! I started the game off playing co-op with our good buddy Policeman Dan. And let me tell you, it is a hoot and a holler. I said take him out, not pull down his pants and fuck him. We had a blast playing the missions, which are far better with humans than the shitty AI. But even getting to the missions is a lot of fun. I heard a lot of people complaining about the handling of the vehicles. I didn't really notice anything too bad about it. Feels pretty much the same as Grand Theft Auto. Although Policeman Dan seemed to have his fair share of trouble. Where'd you learn to drive, asshole? Most of the missions offer more than one way to tackle them, which is great for when one of your teammates decides to go charging in Leroy Jenkins style. Sometimes you have to steal shit or blow shit up or kill some asshole. But most of the time the missions feel pretty similar, and they do tend to get repetitive quite quickly, but it's not likely something you're gonna notice if you're playing with a group of people because you'll be having too much fun goofing off like a bunch of jackasses. Watch where you're going, bitch! Oh, Getting around the open world is quite a bit of fun, as they made it fairly easy to traverse the environment. There's not a lot of stuff that'll stop you dead, which is good, because sometimes in these open world games they really fuck that up. The world itself is huge and fairly well detailed, but I couldn't help but notice it doesn't feel alive in the same way that a Grand Theft Auto open world does. Sure, it's populated, but it just felt kind of, I don't know, lifeless. The only way I can describe it is, you know, in GTA San Andreas, the one from 2005 or so, remember when you went out into the farm country, into all the rural shit? Yeah, it's like that. It just doesn't feel as lively as when you're in the city. And if you're gonna call me out on using Grand Theft Auto as both a positive and negative comparison, well then fuck you! Anyone who played San Andreas and went out on those country bumpkin missions will know what I'm talking about. The mechanics of the gameplay are pretty solid overall, although it does take some getting used to the new cover system, which doesn't actually have a dedicated button to pop in and out of cover. One thing I didn't like about the cover system was the fact that it'll switch your shoulder perspective depending on which way you exit the cover. It would have been nice if it had the option to just lock your shoulder viewpoint. The game would also have benefited from a roll button, but it's not a huge deal that it's absent. Whoa, shit! The gunplay is very solid, especially for an open world game. I'd say it's about on par with your average shooter, which is impressive given the scope of this game. The character creation and customization is really in-depth. Hey, it's Cousin It! I created a badass looking Mr. T motherfucker. Unfortunately, they made his voice sound like a pussy hipster.
At least it comes with a chopper.
The weapon customization system from past Ghost Recon games carries over to this one, which is also very in-depth, so if you like dressing up your gun, you'll be right in your element here. After we were done horsing around, I spent some time alone in the single-player campaign, and boy oh boy, what a contrast! Where the multiplayer is fun and exciting, the single player is bland and boring, with a lot of frustrations that you don't really notice when you're playing with other people. The storyline, which is about the South American drug trade, is a pretty uncompelling one. I was not interested in the narrative at all. It's delivered really flat.
The only way to stop Santa Blanca for good is to completely dismantle them.
Stop the drug trade? Why would I want to do that? I want more drugs, not less of them. Without a compelling narrative to carry the single player, you really need the voice actors to hit it out of the park. And these guys really dropped the ball in that regard.
Just never clean and tidy. What's that saying about revenge being a dish? They say it tastes damn good.
Well, just don't make a damn mess of it.
How embarrassing! The voice acting is, needless to say, terrible and laughable at times. There's also a really annoying member of your unit that constantly tells anecdotes and stupid jokes that just irritated the hell out of me.
I gotta know. What goes up a hill on 4 legs but comes down again on 3?
Shut up! On top of that, there's loudspeakers everywhere you go, playing inane radio chatter. It sounds like they're trying to emulate the Grand Theft Auto series, but they don't do a very good job of it.
They don't get what they fucking want.
Oh, God, shut up! Where the fuck is that coming from? Oh, thank God! Silence! The other problem with the single player is the friendly AI. Your teammates are pretty useless in a gunfight. Not only that, but they go down more often than a Skid Row hussy. Most of my deaths were a result of trying to rescue the downed AI. In addition, they don't do a very good job of watching your back. Plus, when you play single player, you get a hell of a lot more of their inane chatter.
Santa Blanca can smell us from about 5 clicks out by now.
Oh, God. Now, on to my final thoughts. And for the people who are gonna say, but this is just a beta, the finished game will be way different. The fucking game comes out in a week, and the code for the download is tech test. This is the finished game, people. Don't kid yourself. They're not gonna have time to make any real changes. Though it's let down by its single player aspects, the multiplayer aspects of the game are enough to warrant a purchase, provided that you have friends to play with. If you're planning on getting this strictly for the single player campaign, I would give it a miss. I give the Ghost Recon Wildlands beta an 8 out of 12. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and a like. It helps us get more exposure on the YouTubes. And while you're at it, why not subscribe? We put out shit like this every week. Hey, I like your hats.